Well, I took it back to the library, and last time I checked, it had been checked in, so I don't have the physical book for this one. So I'm gonna do this speaking and talking without the copy of the book I read. So this is: did reading the Iliad change my perspective of how I would like to see 2026 film The Odyssey? Today is Saturday, 26 May 2026 AD. And here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, evaluate two of my approaches I came up with for myself in March 2026 for seeing 2026 film The Odyssey in movie theaters around its communicated release date of 17 July 2026 AD, taking into account my recent first reading of the Iliad by Homer. It was translated into English. Okay. And so my two approaches were, one was spending a day at the cinema, and I do kind of a middle showing of a boozy shake, because I haven't done one of those yet, and I was like if I'm driving, then kind of like, or do 3 of the Odyssey showings in a row, but point being, sandwich the Odyssey in the center with like a boozy shake from like Regal Cinnabar, right? So it'd have to be playing at the Cinnabar for me to do that at a very basic level, right? So there's the where is it playing, like does it release, where is it playing, that kind of thing, and then doing that as kind of a something I haven't done, but I have. I've always liked milkshakes, and I like peanut butter ice cream, and as like there might have been alcohol back then, and I've read the Iliad, and they did have alcohol back then, and since I would be driving myself as a solo moviegoer approach, right, and being like, well, maybe put another movie after it with food, kind of thing. Maybe a movie showing before it with food or candy or something. Okay, so that was one. The other one was I go and I get like something like spud fish and chips. Like they might have had fish back then. The Odyssey is about like an army when they are on their way home, and it's like a water voyage. So they're ships, and they might have had potatoes. So like fish and chips is like fried fish and potatoes, and then afterwards do something else they might have had, like goat's milk cheese and butter were things I named. And so I've read the Iliad now, and I've put the Odyssey on hold, and I put it on hold in one library system, and the number of and I was in the hold line, and I haven't moved, and I checked on it, and one of the copies had been removed. So I was like, ran over, so to speak, apps on my phone kind of thing, online, checking the different library systems kind of thing. And I checked the other library system have a car through, or one of the other library systems have a car through, and they had a bunch of copies, and so I was like, put one of those on hold too, so in case I can't get it from one, I'm like whichever comes in first, I'm like kind of thing. So I am making an extra effort to read the Odyssey. I have read the Odyssey. The particular copy of the book of the Odyssey that I read, I probably, especially if it was like published after, I read the Odyssey, if none other than the title, the Odyssey kind of thing. Not that I could understand the Greek, but like the English translation, I could. Yeah. It's been, if it was published after my reading the Odyssey in approximately February 2011, then I definitely haven't read that copy before. Okay, so there's that update. So then how did it read? It did. How did it read? How did reading it change it? So first off, did it? Yes. Let's go into how it did. Okay, so I got goat cheese right, goat's milk cheese. I got that right. In terms of it being something they ate back then, it was actually in the book. And it was in like an important setting too. So I was like, I got one thing. Okay. Stick with it from my initial March 2026 plan, question mark. Do I make it just goat cheese? Form, sourcing, that's stuff I need to think about. Food also of ceremonial / high importance included broiled lamb. They even specified white lamb. Meat set / placed on table, and bread. So I was like, okay. So there's that. A big thing I learned, just because they used ships or / were on the water and traveled via the water, didn't mean they ate from the water. So that would knock out my fish idea. I was like, yeah, there are fish in the water. That doesn't mean they ate the fish, right? They were traveling, so they pack up a bunch of carrying on the ship, and I was like, right. It's just because they use a boat doesn't mean they eat from the water. So that was, I was like, okay. So there's that. Other stuff. So food during the movie, ? Meat, ? Like a hunk of meat, so like a burger, but they didn't have fried food, so like a burger with side salad. They probably had some vegetables back then. Okay. Musing, another guess about, 2,800 years ago or 3,500 years ago or whenever the Battle of Troy was. So the Iliad was about the Battle of Troy. And the Odyssey is about the soldiers going home after 10 or 20 years after the Battle of Troy or something like that. I gotta read it again. Yeah. It's on hold. Multiple library systems. For me, I did that. Okay. If Homer Odysseus wants my Euro-Native American kingdom, including Las Vegas expansion, perhaps he would allow for me to eat the burger, side salad, and salad dressing I previously described in relation to Josh and I possibly going to Las Vegas and seeing a movie at a Cinnabar. So there's that. If that's lost, there's other stuff. So I'm just going to keep going. Okay. So more things. Takeaways. They were in the Army. Training as part of military service. Perhaps I should train for this. Yeah. So sourcing, ? Where do I get the goat cheese? I am lactose intolerant, which is cow's milk. Lactose intolerance pairs with cow's milk, so goat's milk should be just fine. Goat's milk cheese. Do I eat some in advance of attendance to make sure? Like, do I eat it before a different movie, or do I eat it at home or something and to see how it sits? To revisit, I've eaten a lot of goat cheese. So I ate a lot when I lived in Albany, California in the 2010s decade. Where do I get it from? What is my business model for that? Is it the same chain as when I was a soloist eating the goat cheese in the 2010s, if possible? Try someplace very near the Cinnabar, ? If it was a different chain, so a different kind of approach for the business model. Do I treat it as output? I do something and then the output defines it, or I'm taking into account possible scenarios at this point in time. Meet during a movie? ? Try order in advance of showing I attend? ? Continue movie going is another form of training. Maybe a new box of Pop-Tarts for the car once finished with the frosted cinnamon rolls one, or do I jump start on that and just go spontaneous? Let's get another one. And don't forget about the cinnamon rolls, go into that one. And if I do get more cinnamon roll Pop-Tarts, make sure to finish that box with Michael Jackson stuff. Okay. So box of Pop-Tarts for a home communion as Tanis Gillespie. Get that as well, especially if that is my name. Present myself to my man with my proper name and to our god Hades. All right, so that's taking into account if I am Tanis Gillespie, to my Homer Odysseus, get a home communion. Hades was a god in the Iliad and for the ancient Greeks, which is relevant for the Odyssey as well. Have I chosen what my Cinnabar popcorn is? Have I eaten it at an intense level as such? So I'm thinking of a milkshake and vanilla milkshake. Am I settled on that? I've eaten 6 out of 6 of the milkshakes, so still thinking on that. Pass or no passes designated movie? Which one is it? Am I better grounded in my confidence either way? So do I have enough confidence now with no passes movies that I would still follow through if it was designated a no passes movie, or there was no designation for no passes? And perhaps most importantly, read the Odyssey if I can. Additional work has been done. By me, for myself, and for you guys. Okay. And the movie makers and the movie theaters and that kind of stuff. The movie community. If I have started learning Greek, could I write the name of the movie in Greek on a note card symbolizing learning or something? Yeah, there's a lot. So yes, it did. It changed my perspective. I have a lot to think about. I was like, oh, it's all streamlined. And then I read the book and I put this together and I'm like, I got a lot to do. But think about, so training, I guess from this big one is training and go forth to myself and to us.